4.1 Inequalities and their graphs. The solution of an inequality is any number that makes the inequality true. So if we look at example 1, where we're going to identify solutions by mental math, it says, is each number a solution of x is less than or equal to 7? So all you do is sub it in and ask yourself if it is true. Is 9 less than or equal to 7? No. So 9 is not a solution. -1. Is -1 less than or equal to 7? Yes, it is less than. So it makes it true. So -1 is yes. 14 over 2 is actually equal to 7. So is 7 less than or equal to 7? Yes, it is equal to. So 7 would also be yes. Example 2 then wants you to identify solutions by evaluating. If you notice here on the left-hand side, we have more than just the variable, so you have to sub it in, calculate this side, and then see if the inequality is true. So they want to know if 3 is a solution. So I'm going to sub that in. So I have 2 minus 5 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15. 2 minus 15 is -13. So is -13 greater than 13? No, it is not. So 3 is not a solution. So no, it's not a solution. The -4 then, I also plug it in. 2 minus 5 times -4. -5 times -4 is 20. 20 plus 2 is 22. 22 is greater than 13, so it does make my inequality true. So -4 is the solution, so yes. Example 3 then is having you graph inequalities. In order to do this, there are a couple things that you need to make sure that you know. First of all, when I have you graph them on a number line, I want you to make sure there are at least 5 numbers on the line. And you have to make sure one is smaller and one is larger than the number you are graphing, at the very least. The other thing that you need to know is if an equal sign is included, for instance on the second one, it is going to be a solid dot. So if there's an equal to part, you have a dot that is completely shaded in. If there is not an equal to part, for instance, on this first one up here, it's just greater than, then you are going to have an open dot. So if I go ahead and look at this first one, it says graph C is greater than -2. So I'm going to draw my line. I'm going to put the number we're graphing there, -2. And then I'm going to put 5 numbers on there. So I'm going to go -1, 0 on one side. -2, -3, -4 on the other side. I have my 5 numbers, including the number I need. Since it's greater than 2, it's an open dot on -2. The numbers that are greater than -2 are to the right. So I draw my line to the right with an arrow on that. Because it does not stop even though my number line stops, because any number greater than -2 would make this work. So if I look here, any number that is on this side of that dot is a solution. So for instance, 1/2 would be a solution. 1/2 would fall right in here somewhere. 1/2 is greater than -2. Okay, my second one down here is, and I always start by reading the variable first. M is greater than or equal to 4. So I know I need the number 4. It gets bigger to the right, 4, 5, 6, smaller to the left, 3, 2. Since it has an equal to part, it's going to be a shaded in dot on the number 4. M is greater than or equal to 4. My numbers that are greater than are again to the right. So there is my number line. Our last example, example number 4. I want you to write an inequality from the graph given. I always start with my variable, and for whatever reason I always just use x. And I know my number here, that dot is on -4. This is going to the left, so it's the smaller number, so that should be less than. It's not equal to because this dot is not filled in, so x is less than -4. On the second one, start with your variable and your number. That dot is on 5. This time it is filled in, so there will be an equal to part. It's still the smaller numbers, so it's less than or equal to 5. The next one is right in between 0 and 1, so that means 1/2. So I have x and I have 1/2. This time it's going to the bigger number, so it's greater than. The dot is open, so there's no equal to part, so it's x is greater than 1/2. My last one here also has a solid dot, or this one does have a solid dot, so it's going to be an equal to part. It's on -1 as my number. It's going to the bigger number, so it's greater than, because it's solid, it's equal to. So my inequality is x is greater than or equal to -1. You now must complete the quick checks on the next page, and your assignment is on your schedule.